The Green Children of Woolpit, A Tale from Another World. Introduction. Setting the scene. Imagine the English countryside in the 12th century, during the reign of King Stephen. The village of Woolpit, in the county of Suffolk, is a quiet, simple place. Life is dictated by the seasons, the harvest, and the rhythms of the land. The people are farmers, rooted in the earth and their faith. They know their world. But one day, during the harvest season, something happened that would shatter their understanding of reality and become a legend whispered for centuries. The place where it happened was not a field of gold, but the ancient wolf pits that gave the village its name. Deep, treacherous traps dug to catch the wolves that preyed on livestock. It was from this dark earthly place that a miracle, or perhaps a nightmare, would emerge. The discovery: it was the reapers, tired and sweaty from their work in the sun, who first heard it. Not a normal sound, not the cry of a lost lamb or the call of a bird. It was a strange, plaintive weeping coming from the depths of one of the old wolf pits. Cautiously, they approached the edge and peered down into the shadows. What they saw there made them recoil in disbelief and fear. There were two children, a boy and a girl, huddled together at the bottom of the pit. But these were no ordinary village children, lost on their way home. Their skin, from their faces to their tiny hands, was tinged a vivid, unnatural shade of green, like the color of young leaves or deep pond water. Their clothes were made of a strange, unfamiliar fabric, a cloth no weaver in Suffolk could have produced. The reapers, a mix of brave and curious, climbed down to rescue them. The children were terrified, clutching at each other and speaking in a language that was a stream of rapid, musical, but completely unintelligible sounds. It was no tongue known to English, Norman, or any traveller from distant lands. They brought the strange green children back to the village. The news spread like wildfire. The entire population of Woolpit gathered around, staring in awe and suspicion. Who were they? Where did they come from? And why were they green? The first day's mystery and sustenance, the villagers, being good-hearted people, tried to care for the foundlings. They offered them bread, meat, cheese, and ale, the food that was the staple of their own lives. But the children would not eat. They wailed with hunger, yet they turned their heads away from the hearty fare. They were growing weaker, their strange green skin becoming pale and sallow. For days they languished, nearing starvation. The villagers were at a loss, fearing the children would die under their care. Then, by chance, someone brought a bunch of freshly harvested raw broad beans, still in their green pods. The children's eyes lit up. They gestured frantically, making it clear they wanted the beans. But here was another oddity. The children did not know how to open the pods. They had never seen such a thing. The villagers, puzzled, showed them how to split the pods open to get to the beans inside. The children fell upon the raw beans with a desperate hunger, eating them and nothing else. This became their sole sustenance for many months. They would eat no other food, surviving only on raw broad beans. Assimilation and tragedy. As the weeks and months passed, the children slowly began to adapt. The girl, who seemed older and more resilient than her brother, started to learn a few words of English. The boy, however, remained withdrawn and melancholic, his health always fragile. Under their new diet, a remarkable change began to occur. The vivid green tint of their skin started to fade, slowly washing away like dye from a cloth. Over time, their complexion settled into the same normal, healthy pink as the other village children. Tragedy, however, was never far away. The boy, who had never truly thrived in this new world, grew sickly and, after some time, died. The cause of his death was unknown. Was it a sickness of this world or a broken heart for the one he had lost? He was buried in the churchyard at Woolpit, a small, lonely grave for a boy from a place no one could name. The girl, however, survived. She grew stronger, learned the language fluently, and eventually her green color completely disappeared. She was baptized into the Christian faith and became a normal, if somewhat unusual, member of the community. She grew into a young woman known for her bold and sometimes wanton behavior, as the chroniclers put it. She eventually found work as a servant in a nearby knight's household. At the manor of Richard de Colin, the Revelation, the girl's story. Once she was fully fluent and integrated, people finally had the chance to ask the question that had haunted them since the day of the discovery: where did you come from? The girl, whose name was perhaps Agnes, told a story so bizarre it could only be true. For no peasant in 12th century England could have invented it. She said she and her brother came from a land she called St. Martin's Land. It was a place where the sun never rose and never set. It was in a state of perpetual twilight, a soft, dim, unchanging light. All the people of that land, she said, were green, just like she and her brother had been. She described her home as a world without bright sunlight, where the landscape was illuminated by a luminous quality in the air. It was, she claimed, a Christian land with churches. She then recounted the events that led to their arrival in Woolpit. She and her brother were tending their father's flocks on the outskirts of their twilight world when they came upon a cavern. Drawn by curiosity, they entered it and heard a beautiful, enchanting sound, like the chiming of distant bells. Compelled by the melody, they wandered deeper and deeper into the cavern until suddenly they were blinded by a light more brilliant and painful than anything they had ever experienced, the light of our sun. As their eyes adjusted, they found themselves stumbling out of the very wolf pit where the reapers had found them, disoriented, terrified, and unable to find their way back through the entrance to their own world. Theories. And the end of the tale: the girl, Agnes, lived the rest of her life in our world. She married a man from King's Lynn and, according to some accounts, lived a long life. But the mystery of her origin never left her. So, what really happened? Over the centuries, many theories have been proposed. 1. The Flemish hypothesis. Some historians suggest the children were Flemish orphans. During that period, there was persecution of Flemish immigrants, and they may have fled into the wilderness. Their strange language could have been Flemish. Their green complexion could have been a result of chlorosis, a form of anemia from malnutrition, which gives the skin a greenish pallor. The land of twilight could be a metaphor for the deep, dark forests they were lost in. The raw beans, high in iron, could have cured their anemia, explaining the fading green color. 2. The extraterrestrial or interdimensional hypothesis for those who lean into the paranormal. The story is a perfect account of visitors from another planet or a parallel dimension. St. Martin's Land is a world orbiting a dim star, or a planet locked in tidal resonance with one side in perpetual twilight. The cavern was a portal or a wormhole. Their green skin was the natural pigmentation of their species. 3. A folk memory of a forgotten people. The story could be a mythological remnant, a folk memory of an ancient indigenous people who were displaced by the Anglo-Saxons and Normans people who painted themselves green like the woes or wild man of the woods and lived in the hidden twilight depths of the ancient forests of England. Conclusion for your storytelling. The true answer died with Agnes. The green children of Woolpit remain one of history's most captivating puzzles. They are a symbol of the other, of those who are lost and far from home. Their story asks us, what other worlds are hidden just beside our own, in a cave, in a forest, in a forgotten wolf pit? It is a story of sadness for the boy who never adapted, and of resilience for the girl who carved a new life in a strange land. So, the next time you walk past a dark, shadowy place or hear a strange sound you cannot identify, remember the tale of the green children. Perhaps the boundary between our world and another is thinner than we think. The end.